5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Wednesday, April 24th, Radio Faces number 26. AJ's in the background. Matt Chapin's here.
Sure am.
Louis Malia.
Word.
My name is Aaron Malholtra. It's been probably close to a month since our last podcast.
Confessions.
No, I've been getting questions as to where we're at.
I know. I have too.
I have not.
I'm kind of... No?
I've been in Vegas, if anyone's been asking. No, I got the same. Lots have happened last month. Lots in sports. Lots in the news. I'm sure you guys were just as invested in that whole Boston thing as everyone else watching it on TV.
Everyone was, yeah.
I was. I listened to CNN all day live on Friday.
CNN loves when shit goes wrong, because that station kicks ass.
There's a story about CNN. I'll have to send you the link or something. Basically, they were going to go in bankruptcy in the early 90s.
The Desert Storm,
and then the Gulf War.
Yeah.
And then they were going to go in bankruptcy in the mid-90s and OJ. And then they were going to go in bankruptcy like towards the end of the decade, and they were just floating around, and then 9/11. It's crazy. And now they're last.
They
in
need
news.
chaos.
Like, they are last in cable news right now. So, like,
Really?
Fox is being... Like, to Canadians, CNN looks like the one-stop
Yeah,
shop.
it's true.
But in the U.S., it's like Fox, NBC has a news channel, and then there's just all the local TV stations as well.
But it's instinctual. Oh shit, something blew up. Let's check on CNN.
Yeah,
Like,
as a Canadian.
you're just programmed. No, I think even in the States, like when something severely goes wrong, you go to CNN for the immediate update.
They
was
did
a-
lead the ratings last week. I read
Yeah.
that they led the ratings on Friday, which was like
Yeah.
the
Because
big
ABC had regular programming still going on throughout the day.
ABC had regular programming in the day, not on Friday. I think everyone cut to it on Friday.
Yeah, their coverage
Monday.
was better in terms of their camera and stuff on Friday night. Like they
Who?
were ABC. They were right in there on that street wherever that Laurel Street or wherever this. Oh, maybe that's
Not a
wrong.
clue.
That's wrong.
I was saying I don't think
In Watertown.
I was telling you guys I don't think there's anything I've been more engaged in watching. Like I was gonna go to bed on Thursday night, like around 11 or so, and that's when an MIT officer just got shot.
Hey, we were talking about it, remember?
Yeah, and as dumb as it sounds now, at that point they didn't even know if there was a correlation to the bombing. They just thought it was an officer who had been shot. They didn't even know if he was dead at that point. And then you literally see things unwind hour by hour. It's like Boston officer was shot, car was hijacked, shootout.
It was like
and then
reading a
you-
murder mystery, right?
Then
It's like
you go
slowly
to
everything's
Twitter,
going. Yeah.
And I don't think Twitter's ever had a more busier and more
No,
effective night.
Social media is just in this situation was
like
so
people that are like
cool.
at the
I
scene
mean,
or tweeting, like it's just
A
it's-
dude
there's
with
never been-
400 followers now had 30,000
Yeah.
by the morning. 'Cause
There's-
the shootout was
yeah.
happening on his street, Laurent or whatever.
Something like 2 days after that bombing, they had received 10 terabytes. The government had received 10 terabytes worth of information. Like
Wow.
as opposed to Vancouver, it was something like 30. Like that's crazy. That's like a ton of information in terms of video and
For
any
sure.
sort of pictures
Obviously-
on this thing. There's nowhere you can go. Like these guys were destined to get
A
caught.
huge
at some
story. By no means is it a sports story, but obviously it did happen at a marathon, and then it did affect sporting events. Do you guys see any long-term like effects on security, on how our future marathons going to be handled, on sporting events, or is this just sort of like now it's top of mind, and then later on it's going to kind of?
I don't think it's just now it's top of mind. I think anytime some sort of major event, things are going to get flashed back because it's just as sick as it is good television to make that correlation. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they go.
I think what it is as a society, we get lazy, and like, for example, like this, or not 9/11, because you can't, plan for people throwing a plane into a building, but airport security. And then what happens is these are wake-up calls like, we probably should have been more tight about this 10 years ago. So
I was reading an article that was saying that the U.S. and Canadian response to terrorism is reactionary as opposed to
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I find it's
that guy tried to bring a shoe bomb onto the plane, and now we take our shoes off.
yeah. I think it's pretty hard to. I think it's pretty hard to just start throwing out those
that's
things
it.
and those sort of sanctions.
No,
to
and
do
I
that.
get it.
And I understand what you mean by where you get lazy, but in all honesty, that's
But we just don't take advanced measures. Is
No,
what it is.
it's tough, man. It's impossible to do that. How do
No,
you-
it's impossible to do that, but it's scary when you find out this guy's name
Yeah.
was misspelt in the FBI system, and that's why he was allowed to go back to Russia or Chechnya last year for
That's
6
amazing.
months, and he wasn't flagged at the border because he should have been if his name wasn't misspelled in the system.
So yeah.
How much
does the
I
person
find
who
those
wrote
things
that
so
feel like a piece of
interesting as to
shit?
what like
How
how
the
those
fuck
stories
did that? And I
actually
know he has
come
an
out, or whether
unusual
whatever the case
name.
may be.
It's like
Yeah.
there's no way I could even pronounce it, let alone
Yeah.
spell it. But I mean, that's kind of the FBI's job.
Brutal.
Crazy the stills and all the pictures of the shootouts and everything like that surface. There was a thing on Dateline tonight that was just
the most
crazy.
surreal
Just
thing.
two kids that were, or two young guys that were outside of the shootout. I mean, 200, 300 rounds going off, and these guys are just sitting there with their phones, filming this thing, taking pictures. I mean, it's surreal for us, or think about that they're literally staring at this gunfight.
Those are
in
the
front of
dudes who
their
went
house.
from 400 to 30,000
Yeah.
followers.
That's nuts.
Like he would hashtag Boston bombing, he'd
Yeah.
get picked up and retweeted, and then Dana White retweeted one of them.
Mm.
He's like, "You guys got to follow this." And then the police scanners.
Yeah,
That was
Police
even
scanner- I
crazier.
couldn't even get on. It was that crazy.
It was just
I
it
don't
was
know.
nonstop.
It was very-
We're gonna segue off that, but yeah, obviously crazy news and probably
is-
worth discussing.
Yeah, that was probably the big of the last year. Never mind the last couple weeks.
That'll
Yeah.
definitely be the biggest moment of 2013. I think.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
For those
Probably
listening who are wondering when we're going to get to sports and pop culture media, we're going to get to that right now in our regular this or that portion, and that begins right now. Okay, so I think we're going to get different answers on this because they won today. I think it would have been a lot different.
I knew you were
I
gonna
think it would
think
have been
that.
a lot different had they lost. But anyway, let's see what happens. Should fans be concerned about the Toronto Blue Jays?
No, and I have been saying from the beginning, 40 games. Quarter of a season in baseball is when you get worried. 20 games in 162 is nothing. If they're 50 and 25, 60 and 24, yes. But I think all teams get a quarter of a season to worry about it.
I think there's some worry. And only from the standpoint, I like the fact that
Should
40,
they be worried?
40
There's
yeah,
definitely worry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's
don't know if-
definitely worry. I'm
Yeah,
not
there's people
disagreeing
who
with
are
that.
crying and
I don't know if there's people crying. I think the city's stayed pretty reserved in terms of their expectations. I mean, you have Reyes go out.
the Leafs have helped that.
I was going to say, because the Leafs are
great.
good is fine.
That's fine.
Nobody's
and
focusing
that's,
on
and
it.
that's and funny that we talked about this. That was one of our questions earlier. We said which is going to be bigger, and it's actually better that the Leafs are in their playoff run right now for the Jays' woes to start off the season. I think that the city's been lenient on them in terms of the whole WBC, all the prolonged spring training, and Reyes. I think that there's definitely worry because there's a questionable bullpen, and there's some injuries that are lingering, and some slow starts from guys that, you need them to get off on a jump to get
I
it
think
going.
the
out of
city
the
want to
gate.
like this team.
They
They really
definitely
want to
wanna
like this team.
I agree.
And that's why it goes back. And I think it was a couple podcasts ago. And to this day, I still scratch my head. And by the way, yeah, I think it's way too early. There's no concern at all. I think it's way too early to even think about it. But I still can't figure out the Gibbons signing or bringing him as manager. Obviously, it's not his fault they're playing this bad, but it just brings light to how are you the only one that they could find? And I think people are recognizing that a little bit more now. But
I think they're looking for answers. Is the number one reason
Exactly.
why they're doing
okay,
that.
so let's stick
It's-
with that. Who's the biggest disappointment so far?
I can go in as Brett
I think-
Laurie.
Yeah.
I mean, I just not for the fact you can't say
he
Jose
just got
Reyes.
he's injured though.
No, and I get it, but not. I have no problem if the guy's having trouble hitting. I have a problem with the guy missing balls hit to him.
you just hate him.
I hate him.
You hate him.
Throwing balls in the dirt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he gets a one base hit, so he's diving in head first and beating his chest at home plate.
He's
Calm
an
the
idiot.
fuck
He's
down.
a
You're hitting
kid.
120.
He's a
bro.
kid since we got him.
But he's hitting
I think
120. Like,
in
relax,
reality,
man.
the biggest disappointment that we can actually talk about is Jose Reyes. Come on,
Yeah,
there's
but
not-
that's-
I didn't mean it like
No,
that.
Yeah,
but
that's
still,
what, physically because his body broke.
that's a
Are you really that
disappointment.
surprised too?
Yes, I am
Par for the
surprised
course
that.
with him,
Come
man.
on,
Not-
come on,
not breaking
par
an
for the
ankle,
course. The
sliding
guy
into the
slides in
ice.
and gets his ankle torn off.
If
or
someone
whatever
told me
the
that
case
he was
may
going to
be.
miss a big chunk of the season this year, I'd say yes.
That's
I would
Played
just-
162 last year, man.
Yeah, no, I know.
biggest disappointment to start off the year is Batista. I don't.
Yeah?
He got a bomb today,
he's-
but yeah.
He's got to be better. I think that they're constantly looking for leadership on this team, and someone needs to be the outspoken leader of this clubhouse.
Okay, switching gears to another Toronto sport, the Leafs. They're in the playoffs.
Sure are.
Where will they finish?
5th, right where they're at.
Yeah, I think they're going to be pretty stuck there.
And do you guys think they're going to play Montreal?
Yes.
I don't know. The East is up for grabs in terms of
probably
those
Montreal or
spots
Boston.
there.
But nobody wants to win.
I don't know.
Fuck, who knows the Isles, man? I don't even know. Another surprising team, Columbus. Are they going to make the playoffs?
I hope to dear God they do. I don't know why. Like, I have nothing invested in Columbus,
Yeah.
Ohio, but I cheer for them so hard. Because that city has just
They might
watched-
lose in 3 games against the Blackhawks.
Yeah, no,
Are the Rangers
It'll be
guaranteed
so
in?
bad.
the Rangers are pretty much
Rangers-
in.
No,
guaranteed
not
in?
guaranteed.
No, they're not. They're
What
more
are-
guaranteed
The
than
Rangers are
Ottawa.
a different conference.
I know they are.
Oh.
I'm just saying, wouldn't that be ironic if the Rangers didn't make it
Oh,
in with
'cause of Rick
Nash,
Nash
leaving
and Gaborik.
and Gaborik and just that whole
Yeah,
flip flop
no, that's a good
there,
point.
and
But,
Columbus made it in.
Like, don't you just want to? I just want to cheer for Columbus. Like that team has been so like not bad, like fucking bad, like Triple A.
They're so
AHL
bad. They've made the
bad.
playoffs once in their history. They went out in 4 games the year they did it. To boot, last year, they were supposed to have the number 1 draft pick. They lost the lottery to Edmonton in a league that usually you don't lose a lottery in. They were supposed to hold the All-Star game. Then the lockout happened. And then
Yeah,
they
like
lost
they
their
were
All-Star
getting
game.
fisted
Then they
from-
lost Rick Nash, and they held the draft the year they were supposed to get number 1.
Yeah.
And they got number 2. Like, it's just been a disaster.
Yeah, like you have to cheer for that franchise. If you're against Columbus, like you don't have a soul.
I think if Detroit wins tonight, they have a pretty decent chance of like closing that gap. They're going to.
Well, they're tight.
And
It's
as
going to
we
go down last
reported,
game.
yeah, they're playing
It's
LA. They were up 2-1,
yeah,
I think.
they were up. It's I think they're 51-50 in terms of points. I'm not entirely sure, but if Detroit sneaks in and then they just barely get the boot, because that's always been their division
Speaking-
rivalry.
Speaking of Detroit, they're hosting a Winter Classic game next year, and so is everyone else. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
How's it break down? I'm not.
There's
entirely
6 of
sure.
them, literally.
I've
Six,
seen a schedule of 6.
six of them, and just spread out over the course.
New York
of
has a couple.
the
LA
week.
has, I think.
LA's Winter Classic is going to be fucking funny.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
You like the 6?
Yeah, I like.
It's going to
them.
be water polo by the third fucking period.
don't think it's
That
too
is
many?
entertaining. Six is aggressive.
Dude, it's not aggressive. It's what happens is apparently you're hearing now rumors that NCAA is going to move stuff to like January 1st.
Oh.
So in a couple years, I don't know the reason behind it. So what they're going to do is they're trying to cash grab these things as quickly as they can because once that happens, nobody's going to give a fuck
But
about
they're
it.
not all on January
No,
1st.
I know, but they're just trying to
Yeah.
the novelty of them. Hey,
So there's one cool thing I heard. The only thing I agree with them is they're doing 2 in New York at Yankee Stadium, which is cool. But when they're doing them is Super Bowl week.
yes, that
And the
makes
Super
sense.
Bowl's in New York. So the entire media is going to be there. So there's no better way to cover your game. So I can actually get past those 2.
But then
and I
there's
think you should have probably stopped at 3.
I agree.
And the reason New York has 2 is because A, they can sell it, and B,
there's two-
one versus Jersey, one
I was
versus
going to say
Islanders.
there's 2 teams, yeah.
Yeah. Rangers, Jersey, Islanders.
really?
So I can get it. And from the Super Bowl coverage and stuff, I think that's pretty neat. But
Yeah, they're just it right now just looks like a desperate cash grab.
yeah, the rest are kind of.
And I
lame.
think it's like, oh God, we have to get our fucking revenues up because both of us now need our revenue sharing.
sort of
so-
devalues the Leafs one a bit. No.
100%.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing about it. That they.
If Toronto fans don't give a fuck.
No,
But
yeah,
I
yeah.
care. I care that it's their.
so then
moment.
don't go.
Yeah, it's true.
The other 70,000 Leaf fans will take your ticket.
Fair enough.
And off topic, Nike, just do it. Well, Tiger Woods just did it. Lance Armstrong just did it, and Oscar Pistorius. Did I use his name?
I think so. What did you keep calling him before? Pachuris?
I called him that CIA name, Petraeus or whatever. Pistorius. Nike's been related with all 3 of those. Which one are they most disappointed with at the height of the scandal? Or
It's really funny because you immediately say, well, Tiger Woods clearly got the most coverage
yep,
by a mile. He didn't really do anything that fucking bad. Like, I mean, compared
he's
to the
also
other
still
two.
with them.
Yeah. No, but I'm just saying is like, Lance Armstrong literally got stripped of everything and everything that he stood for doesn't exist. And the other guy fucking killed someone. But Tiger Woods was like on, like,
He got the
Pistorius was what, like 2 days? Oh, he killed his girlfriend and on to new sports. Tiger Woods, we were talking about him fucking girls for like a month.
I think it's Tiger. I think Nike was crushed when that brand happened, and I understand your point.
Yeah,
I think
no,
you're
no.
right. Like these guys did,
I think
they got
I
stripped.
think that crushed the brand more. I think because Livestrong, which is a factor of Nike, correct? Or
Yeah,
it has-
yeah, for sure.
That part is going to get hurt, but
So you're going.
Nike lost. No, I think it was Tiger though, because Pistorius nobody gives a shit.
I think
yeah,
it
he
was
killed-
Lance.
Yeah, but I'm saying
I
it's
think if
a
it was Tiger, they wouldn't have dropped him, or they would have dropped him.
no, but I think Tiger, it was like we can,
They-
as much as like this is viewed badly and whatever, he didn't do anything bad enough that we have to morally have to drop
So you're
him.
saying the least worst offense
Crime.
caused the most attention,
Just for the fact
pain
because
to
it's
Nike.
Tiger Woods. If Tiger Woods had killed his wife, we'd still be talking about
that
it.
would be
Yeah, that'd be
much
pretty
worse.
bad.
Yeah,
Right?
I think they would have dropped him.
But that, like,
Yeah.
that Pistorius guy, as much as that should have been a massive story, it fizzled out
If
so
Lance
quick.
was still competing, though, that would have been
Yes, and I think that's the thing
like,
too.
they
Tiger's
would've-
still in the spotlight, right?
True.
So I mean,
Right?
this Pistorius guy, he runs on his fucking metal beams for a day, and then you don't see him for 4 years.
Metal.
They had a lot riding on Lance post-retirement.
Yeah.
Yeah, not as much nearly in the media's eyes as it was the public eye. I mean, his
His foundation
philanthropy
or
and all
whatever.
the
But I
rest
mean,
of that
after-
Well, if
business.
you're listening, let us know what you think. Lance,
But after
the doper,
Oprah, even Lance
Woods,
just kind
the
of
cheater and
Pistorius, the
the
gunslinger.
killer. Yeah.
The killer,
I
yeah.
gotta feel though, like, from the point of view, and I know I get what you're saying, Lewis, but I gotta feel like Lance is the biggest disappointment because Lance is the one that cheated the sport, and Nike's all about sports.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would go with Lance for that
Yeah.
reason too.
And I get that.
Tiger Woods didn't cheat the sport by having sex with a lot of people, and the guy did by killing his wife didn't cheat his sport.
Yeah,
Lance is the only one
Lance
that-
cheated the
No, and I
sport
get, but
and-
I get that. I think his is the
Dying of
worst
cancer.
offense in those eyes of Nike, but I don't think it's the one that did the most damage.
It's a good question. It would be amazing to hear someone who actually was responsible for marketing and branding what their perspective is on that because
American
Well, let us know
Express.
what you think. We're going to get off this or that, and we're going to break into wins and fails. And Chapin, why don't you lead us off?
I'm going with a win, and it's totally going out to Cy Robertson because I know he's listening from Duck Dynasty. I don't know
That's
if you
like- I
guys
don't know who
watch
that
this
is.
show, but
No.
I love him. I think the show just is entertaining. I would love to live that life for maybe a couple of years and then come back to the city. Other than that, that's my win. Jack.
Say Jack or Quack?
I said Jack.
Should
Quack
have been
would be
quack.
applicable too.
Quack,
The
quack,
dog.
quack, quack,
Sure.
Mr.
Yeah,
Ducksworth.
yeah.
There you go.
Okay, I guess mine's a win. I don't know. So I was reading, and I heard that someone has put their name in the hat because they want to be on Dancing with the Stars. Guess who it is? Stevie Wonder. I don't know how that's going to happen. Like, good for you, Stevie. I'm all about blind equal rights. I don't know what you call it.
He won't even see
Blind.
what score they give him.
No.
Blind
He'll be like, excuse me, can you give me
Yeah.
that plate and braille? Like,
Yeah.
fuck, so I can touch
Yeah.
it?
What did
But
I
I
get?
mean, what? Like they'll be like, okay, you're gonna do the mamba now. He doesn't know. Like, how do you teach him the mamba? He can't fucking see it.
Steps.
No, I get it, but step. Be like left foot. What's left? Like,
What do you
he doesn't-
mean? What do you mean he doesn't know his left from his right? He
No.
played the fucking piano.
I'm obviously like over
I
exaggerating,
know.
but
I'm just
if
giving
that
you a
guy,
hard time.
but the thing is, if he goes on there and performs admirably, it's a wicked story. If he goes on there and falls off the fucking ledge, they're gonna be like, "You insensitive assholes! Why'd you put him on there?" Like, I feel like it's not a really win-win
Yeah, it's
situation.
I heard
definitely
the producer was
dicey.
like, I can't see it happening.
Nice.
Oh,
I
God.
saw that.
Yeah, as
But,
soon as you open your
like,
mouth,
good,
I knew
good
that.
for. And the thing is, it's not like Stevie's like a 30-year-old blind triathlete. Like, he's a big
Oh,
man.
he's not?
Yeah. He doesn't know that.
Yeah.
So he's a big man. He's got to be in his 60s. Like, I just think nothing good will come of him dancing around with Juliana Hough and just tripping everywhere. But I would probably, you know what? I would probably watch it. So that's probably why they'll do it.
Okay, so I have a fail, but I have to almost mention a second fail because do you remember that picture I sent around a couple weeks ago about and a lot of people listening won't even know what I'm talking about, but there was a picture of a sign in a KFC in the States. It said if you buy a giant fucking jug of pop, we will donate $1 to the Diabetes Research Fund or something like that, which is irony. It's so sad that
It's an oxymoron.
related. A friend of mine has diabetes. When I send that picture, he's like, if that's not your fail, then I'll be pissed. And he always listens to this, so I'm mentioning that. But that's not mine. But I'm going to mention that anyway. Mine,
mention?
I had to mention, and he's
Definitely
right.
honorable mention.
If we did this podcast 3 weeks ago, that would have been my fail. I couldn't believe it. It's a giant picture, and if you're doing pictures for this podcast on YouTube, put that.
I
up.
have it, yeah.
Fail is the Edmonton Oilers. I don't know what they're doing. Bringing
In
McTavish
life?
back as
Oh.
the GM.
Life.
That team is a mess. I mean, they're a mess in a way of, like, move forward. Let's make some fucking progress. They can't. They brought back. So Steve Tambellini
They're
came
actually
in,
bringing back the 80s Oilers.
fired McTavish as head coach. McTavish went and worked for TSN, got an MBA, and now got hired as a GM to replace the guy who fired him. He has no general managing experience. The team doesn't. I don't think they have a direction. In his press conference, he already started tampering, which you're not allowed to do. He goes, "Of course, we'd love a guy named Lucic, like a guy like Lucic." And Kevin Lowe's like, "You can't say that." In the press conference, you'll see he's like, "Oh yeah, like this team."
My bad.
Yeah.
One's my
See,
bad.
that-
They-
My bad. I'll write that check.
Everybody gets one. Yeah, it was like.
But the thing is about it too is, I mean, that franchise. The problem is that Kevin Lowe's a perfect example. Like you saw in the press conference, he's like, "What do you mean I don't know about winning? I have 6 Stanley Cup rings." Bro, that was when you were in the 80s and could shoot a puck.
And you were playing with Gretzky. And the irony is someone asked the question, they're like, why is the McTavish-Lowe thing going to work now? It didn't work 10 years ago. And he goes, times have changed. And then he brought up how he won 6 cups in the
Yeah.
80s. I'm like, but times have changed.
And
That's
then
the
someone
thing.
was like, "Bro."
Yeah, they're like, bro, you're an
the
idiot.
definition
many
of the
pros.
Oilers right now is people who think they know how to win but haven't done it in 20 years. That's literally what their whole front office
Kevin
is.
Lowe in the
Yeah.
standings.
That's interesting.
At least McTavish didn't wear a
Alberta
helmet.
is not
That's
a good
the only
place to
time I'm
be
gonna remember
playing
him.
hockey.
No, they're the only two teams without the playoffs if Winnipeg makes it.
Do you understand? I don't know how it's possible to make the Calgary Flames look better than you.
Yeah. No, they managed to
Yeah.
do it, and they managed to screw over my fantasy hockey team. Very nice.
Right in the poops.
Yeah.
Right in the poops.
Right in the.
I was like, how do you transition
Thanks for
out?
listening to number 26. We'll be back probably during Leaf playoffs and Jay's Good May with our next podcast.
Good May.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Peace.